Hey everyone, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Do me a favor before we get started. I need you to hit this like button. Also, hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Also, check out the link below. Check out my hat collection. So, today we're going to talk about credit and credit scores, how to raise your credit score. So, I'm going to tell you what I'm doing in terms of my credit score, where I am with that. As you know, I'm working on my credit score. So, we're going to talk about credit cards and paying off credit cards. That's one aspect that impacts the credit score. So, you may have heard about credit utilization and that you need to keep that around 30%. So, what I am seeing on a personal level is there's a difference between when you keep the credit utilization at 30% versus when you keep it at 3%. So, my credit score, after it has gone up, I told you about the two times it went up. Like it went up 18 points, then it went up 16 points. Well, I actually watched it go down 18 points. And the reason being is that my credit utilization was 30%, but last month it was 3%. So that difference between 3% and 30% is 18 points. So that's something that I'm finding out personally. And I think is interesting because you always hear the number, keep it 30% or less. But if you keep it 3% or less, your score is going to be 18 points higher. And that is what I'm seeing with my own eyes. So, as you know, you have to pay your credit card by the closing date, not the due date, by the closing date. So, what I did is I called the credit company and asked, when is my closing date? I have two credit cards. So I called both credit card companies and asked, when is my closing date? So they gave me the date and I asked, what day do you send the information to the credit bureaus? And he told me 4 days after the closing date. But the thing with the credit cards, okay, I knew it was 30% utilization. I had planned to pay it by 3%, but for some reason I missed that window of that closing date. I said, okay, so I got 4 days after the closing date. So something happened between that date and that closing date, that the closing date and the 4 days. So what I learned from that is if you are increasing your credit score and everything is based on that closing date, don't wait around that closing date area, but just pay on it consistently instead of, see, what I did was I have a calendar and I marked when the closing date is. And when it gets near that closing date, I'm going to pay it down to 3%. But instead of doing that, just pay it on it consistently so that you can be close to that 3%. All right. So that's something that I saw personally. Um, Having a 3% utilization versus a 30% utilization is an 18-point difference in the credit score. So just something to think about. I know some of you watching me, you already have good credit. But in case there's somebody else watching who's interested in improving their credit score, this is what I'm seeing with my own eyes. So they tell you 30% utilization is good, but it's actually 3% or less is what you should be aiming for. And paying on it consistently instead of waiting until that closing date. Just in case what happened to me happened to you. where there's some kind of um, delay between the closing date and the 4 days. So he said 4 days after the closing date is when they send the info to the credit bureaus. So either the money didn't hit the account within that time or they decided to do it earlier. So in order to prevent that in the future, I will just pay on it consistently so that it's close to that 3% mark. And so, why is good credit important? Well, it's important if you are a real estate investor and you're building your portfolio. They look at your credit when it comes to giving you loans. So, this one company that I'm talking to, they want two 660s for a 30% down payment. So, they look at your middle score and they look at another score. And you have to have two 660s for a 30% down payment. That's for this one particular company. So if your credit score is 680, then it's a 25% down payment. So the higher your credit score, the lower the down payment you have to make. And that is how the system works. The better your credit score, the lower your down payment you have to make. So what I am doing is getting my score up as high as possible so that I can pay the lowest down payment possible. Right? So that is currently what I am working on. All right. And so that is one aspect of the credit score and why the credit score is important. The higher your credit, the lower the down payment. And this is for the DSCR loan. So there are other ways to get property besides looking at your credit score, but I am not at that point yet. I'm quite sure that has to do with seller financing or partnerships, those kind of things. But the point I'm at right now is I already have property, but I'm at the point of building. And when you start building, they start looking at debt to income ratio. They say, oh, you own other properties. What's the debt to income ratio? And so the DSCR loan, they go based off of your credit score. The good thing about the DSCR loan is they don't care if you're employed or not, but they do care about that credit score. So that is where I am at right now. All right. So chime in and let me know your thoughts. What are you doing? Are you um, building your rental portfolio, or are you more interested in business, or are you doing both? So let me know. And that is what I am doing, working on my credit score. And so I'm going to keep going and I will tune in and let you know. So do me a favor before you leave. I need for you to hit this like button. What that does is it helps other people to see the channel. Also, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and notification bell next to it so you won't miss the episode. Also, check out the link below and check out the hat collection. One thing that wealthy people have in common, wealthy people tend to buy real estate and land, and they have families. So both are important, right? Both are important. So check out the hat collection. The hat collection has to do with family. What do you think about family? Do you value family, or are you just want to be solo. Everybody's in a different space, right? Some people wish they could be solo, right? And other people like families. So, where are you? Where are you at on this subject? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget on your way out, hit that like button. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your day.